All right, I want to make a comment on a short video that I saw. Again, this is how the Democrats do things. They take things out of context and they put their own narrative and spin on things. So there was one of the new Congresswomen, Mary Miller, who's a Republican Congresswoman from Illinois, who was showing how bad the Democrats are, that they follow the Nazi playbook of trying to take away the kids and indoctrinate children in order to take them away from the ways of their parents. And that's how the Nazis did, that's what the communists did. And so she said that that's where, Hitler was factually correct, not morally right, but factually correct, that if you get the kids, then it's over, right? And that's what she stated. And so the Democrats want to say, look at this is a Republican saying Hitler was right. No, she wasn't saying Hitler was right. Even though that was the words that she said, that Hitler was right about one thing, but from the context, it's obvious that she means factually correct and not morally right. That if you indoctrinate children, then you've lost the generation, right? You're able to seize the generation, and that's what the Democrats have been doing. And that was her point. She wasn't saying we have to copy Hitler. She was saying that the Democrats took a page out of Hitler's handbook, which is what they did, because really Hitler took a page out of the Democrat handbook. If you really study history, when Hitler was making the Nuremberg laws, when the Nazis were making the Nuremberg laws, they looked at the Jim Crow laws that the Democrats made, and looked at them and compared it to them, and really felt that the Democrats were too extreme. Whereas the Democrats had the one-drop law, which they still have, because they're touting this thing of Kamala Harris being black when she's, obviously, very little black. She's really, I think it would be even more historic that she's Indian, that her mother is Hindu. That's, I think, more interesting to me. Is, certainly a smaller minority in America of Indian heritage from India. That should be, something. If you really want to, play the minority bingo and win, that would seem to be more impressive, to have, a smaller minority than, the largest, racial minority in America is the African Americans. And so because. And yet they're saying she's black, which I don't think that matters if you're black or white or Indian or anything else. We're all Americans. And I want to tell another story about that was really quite impressive, that I heard, that I read yesterday, that I would like to share, and I hope to use in the future. And so I want to remember this story for that reason, and that's a big reason to tell this story as well. And I think I'll make a separate video on that. But the thing is, we're all Americans. Doesn't matter your skin color, doesn't matter your gender, doesn't matter all these other inconsequential pieces of, that should not matter in the realm of politics, pieces of identity politics that the Democrats are obsessed with, because they need to put people into demographics instead of caring about individuals. And so, if we look at, African American rights, or even whatever it is, gay rights, whatever you want to talk about, religious rights, as individual rights as opposed to group rights, I think that's the crux of the difference between the Democrat worldview and the Republican worldview. The Democrat worldview is you're part of a group. You're part of a voting bloc. how can we get the people who share your group identity to all vote for us? Because they're the Democrats, they care about demographics. The Republicans care about preventing tyranny, because the idea of a republic is the opposite of a monarchy. That's really the main crux. Why is Canada and Australia and all those other countries, they're not republics? Because they have a monarch. They're under the dominion of the Queen of England. So, they're talking about perhaps Australia might not want to have Prince Charles be their king. They love Queen Elizabeth, but they are not really fans of the monarchy, and they might secede from the Dominion and become a republic at some point in the future after Queen Elizabeth's passing, who I was worthy to see one time, Queen Elizabeth, when she visited Virginia. From very far away, basically I was able to see her hat, but I knew it was her. So Be'ein Ra'isi. But anyway, this is what they do. This is what the Democrats do. And the Nazis were shocked by the extremism of the Democrat Party in their obsession with identity politics. And that's why in the Nuremberg laws, they said, I think it was one grandparent, according to their embrace of racist ideology and identity politics, and not the one-drop law, which still, it's not only stupid, but it's evil. And that is the same ideology that the Democrats embrace, and that's the ideology that Mary Miller, that Congresswoman Miller, was calling out and criticizing. And instead she's getting, critiqued for pointing that out by somehow making it sound like she agrees with Hitler, which she doesn't. She wasn't saying that she agreed with that sentiment. She says that we have to fight against that fact by restoring the people to traditional approaches as opposed to the radical left-wing ideology that Hitler himself embraced and that the Democrats are embracing. The fact of the matter was, Hitler would be on the political landscape of America considered to be part of the left. The only reason why people call the Nazis right-wing, quote-unquote, is because the entire European approach, whether the European right or the European left, are from the